Mr. Samuel, we checked the club surveillance. We went through everything. No sign of the tall, pale girl with short hair you described. Could you have remembered wrong? Maybe it was actually a guy.
No, it was definitely a girl. I did find this woman's earring under the pillow. Send more people? I don't care what it takes. Find her. Well, this is unexpected. You showing up uninvited. Don't tell me you're here to help me find the bastard who screwed me over.
I was at the club that night too. I just don't want to end up taking the blame. We hated each other for years. Everyone in our circle knew I had a motive. He was definitely suspicious of me.
Whoever did this will pay. I'll deal with the right person.
Good. Glad you've got it figured out. His instincts weren't wrong. It really was me. I planned to ruin him. Instead, I ruined myself. But things spiraled out of control too fast. Way too fast. And somehow, I ended up being the one destroyed. My entire body was wrecked. I came today for one reason, to see if he remembered that night. Thankfully, he still believed the person was a woman. Idiot. I'm pregnant.
Congratulations. You're going to be a father.
That's impossible. Get rid of it.
Your case is special. It may not be possible. Oliver, we've got a problem. Samuel figured out you were behind it. The surveillance footage you had deleted, there was a backup. He found it.
I'm screwed. Samuel remembered. He knows my secret.
Hello? You hearing me? That bartender you bribed. Samuel absolutely destroyed him. You're probably next.
Wait. Does he know who was in the suite that night?
Not yet? He's still looking? Seriously? Why do you even care about that right now? He already knows what you did to him. He even took it straight to your father. You better figure something out fast.
So he still didn't know it was me. Good. But I was still in deep trouble. My father was conservative, ruthless. If he found out the truth, I'd be dead. Samuel seriously went crying to my father. Unbelievable. Whatever, time to run. My family kept pressuring me to come home. The last time I left, 4 years disappeared in the blink of an eye. Maybe it really was time to go back.
Daddy, can I watch one more episode?
He looked exactly like Samuel. Like a tiny copy of him.
Daddy, hug.
Thankfully, his personality was nothing alike. We're going back home, okay? You want to meet Grandpa and Grandma?
Yes! I want to go home with Daddy. Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Grandma. I'm Michael.
Oh my goodness! My precious grandson finally came home.
Wait. He doesn't look like you at all. But somehow he looks familiar.
Oh no. My father had met Samuel several times before.
Oh please. Look at those eyes. And that nose. He looks exactly like Oliver when he was young.
Thank God my mom was terrible with faces.
Breaking news, Oliver came back with a kid, eh?
No way.
You secretly got married overseas?
No marriage. But yeah, he's my son. And then I remembered Samuel was still in the group chat.
Oh, and one more thing. You should stay far away from Samuel. He's been obsessively searching for that mystery girl for the last 4 years. His temper's gotten worse and worse. And trust me, he still hasn't forgotten what you did back then.
No matter what, I couldn't let Michael appear in front of him. Never.
Good morning.
Bye, Daddy.
Ungrateful little brat.
That's your son.
Why is he here?
A sudden jolt ran through me. I followed Samuel's gaze. I saw something pressed against the glass, waving at me like a child. Michael's little face was stuck to the glass, leaving 3 round marks, one on his forehead, one on each cheek. His nose had flattened into a little piggy shape, abstract and vague. Hard to tell if it was round or flat. Samuel raised an eyebrow and said,
Rather unique.
"Thankfully." After Samuel looked away, Michael was taken off by the teacher. I steadied myself and tried to sound casual.
Samuel? It's been ages. What a coincidence.
Could he have come here on purpose to settle old scores? Samuel glanced at me, cold and indifferent.
I promised your grandfather that the matter from back then would be settled. Oliver, no need to worry.
Finished speaking. He turned and opened the car door behind him. He lifted a little girl from the back seat, her face painted with delicate grace. The little girl clung tightly to his neck with both hands. She seemed reluctant to go to kindergarten, her eyes red from crying. Samuel held the child in one arm, while supporting her back with the other hand. He bent his head slightly, speaking softly and gently. It sounded like he was comforting her. Then, without a glance, he walked past me and carried the child into the kindergarten. I stood there momentarily stunned. A flood of thoughts rushed through my mind. He seemed much more reserved than before. No, Samuel actually has a child. How come there was no word about it at all? Thinking that, a strange feeling stirred within me. I see. It turns out that guy actually became a dad like this. He's surprisingly gentle about it. Michael really loves his current kindergarten. He's counting on his little fingers to tell me about his new friends. There are 8 kids in his class. Good thing. No one with the last name Fu. Looking at Michael's rosy little face, when we were abroad, we hired a tutor for his early education. The little one didn't really get much chance to interact with kids his own age. He spent most days playing pretend with Mickey and Donald. In the end, I decided against switching his school. I can't keep getting unlucky like that and running into him all the time. But I can't avoid meeting Samuel either. In recent years, our families have worked together on several projects recently. After all, our parents have maintained a decent relationship over the years. Unfortunately, I've never gotten along with Samuel. He's always been a source of conflict since we were young. He once took over a project I was leading and caused me to embarrass myself at a formal event. That's when I considered taking revenge by any means necessary. But then, the carefully chosen ingredients I prepared ended up being useless. I ended up falling into my own trap instead. We ran into each other again at the airport. A large health and wellness development project was scheduled for site inspection. Fortunately, Samuel acted just like me. We kept things strictly professional during work discussions, and otherwise stayed silent. The project site was quite remote. On the way back to town, we ran into a sudden downpour. The weather forecast warned of possible landslides. We searched for hours, only found a somewhat run-down little hotel. The front desk staff said the hotel was undergoing renovation. Right now, only 2 rooms were available for guests. Both assistants were women. By coincidence, ended up sharing a room with Samuel again. Why did I say again? Good thing it was a double bedroom. Otherwise, I'd have had to share the same bed with Samuel again. As if that would even matter. The hotel room felt a bit cramped, but it was at least clean. Each of us had about half the space, keeping to ourselves. Samuel looked distant, and I wasn't going to overthink it. I set down my personal belongings. I went straight into the bathroom to freshen up. Just finished drying my hair when I stepped out. My phone popped up with a video call request. It was Michael. I couldn't find my headphones for a moment. I turned the phone around, facing away from Samuel, tapped to answer. A bright, cheerful child's voice came through clearly.
Daddy, Daddy, it's little bunny Michael.
I gave a faint smile, feeling a little helpless. I had no idea where the little guy picked that nickname up, calling himself Bunny. Then, I noticed Michael kept scratching his neck while talking. The skin on that little neck turned a bit red. I frowned. I asked with concern,
Baby? What happened to your neck?
Michael saw my serious tone and looked a little nervous. He pouted slightly, his lips trembling with worry. His small hands flailed about in anxious motion. He quickly said,
I didn't sneak any food. I really didn't.
At that moment, my mom appeared on the screen. She said,
Tomato was added to the kindergarten lunch soup, and Michael accidentally had 2 spoonfuls before breaking out in a rash. The doctor said it wasn't serious and also advised the school to be more careful in the future.
Michael has a sensitive constitution. He once ended up in the hospital just because he couldn't resist eating something he shouldn't have. I had been upset with him after that. Since then, he hasn't touched any food that might cause an allergic reaction. I felt relieved. I teased the little one for a bit. Then I ended the call.
Your son is allergic to tomatoes.
Samuel, standing beside the next bed, glanced up at me. Then he spoke suddenly. I tossed my phone onto the bed. Casually, I said,
Yeah. He's allergic to red foods, tomatoes, watermelon, strawberries. None of them are safe for him.
Samuel glanced at me again. I heard his flat voice say,
I'm the same.
My body froze for a moment. What? What did he just say? The same as what? Samuel's calm voice came again.
I'm also allergic to red foods.
I blinked mechanically. It turns out Michael's allergy was inherited genetically. I should have added tomato sauce to his drink ages ago. Stop right there. Don't let your thoughts go off track. My mind was racing, but my expression stayed calm. I gave a slight lift to the corner of my mouth.
Oh, how convenient. My son takes after his uncle.
Smart thinking on my part. Samuel was getting changed. He took off his suit jacket. The crisp shirttail hung loose from his waist, the buttons undone, revealing a firm abdominal shape beneath. His long fingers rested on the belt buckle. Hearing my words, his movements paused for a moment. The belt that had been pulled out was tossed onto the bed. He turned and walked into the bathroom. I leaned back against the bed. I quickly searched online, can allergies be inherited? The sound of water stopped. Samuel came out of the bathroom. He walked over, rubbing his hair with a towel. I turned my gaze away. I didn't look in that direction anymore. I only heard the soft rustling as he changed into his sleepwear. After that, we didn't say a word all night. The next day, as soon as the rain stopped, we headed back to the city without delay. At the dinner meeting with our business partners, I ended up drinking quite a bit. The past few years overseas had meant fewer gatherings, and my tolerance for alcohol had clearly dropped. I heard from Henry that ever since I caused trouble for Samuel, he hadn't been drinking much outside the house. The business partner probably had done some research too, and so he focused all his attention on me. By the time we finally returned to the hotel, each step wobbled slightly, leaving a trail that vaguely resembled the Mona Lisa. Samuel didn't look well, but he still carried me back to the room. He tossed me onto the bed. I was left sprawled on the mattress, dazed and half-lit. I lifted my blurry eyes. I stared at the face before me. Michael seemed to have grown up a lot. I waved weakly.
Come here, sweetie.
There was no response. I groaned and pulled him onto the bed myself. I gave a soft kiss on his cheek. Smiling, I said,
Good boy. Daddy loves you.
His body suddenly tensed up beneath me. So I gently patted his back. My soothing kiss landed softly near his ear. I whispered gently, It's okay. It's all right.
Shh, it's okay. It's okay.
He soon fell into a deep sleep, but the sleep was uneasy. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching me for a long time. 4 days passed. Finally, I was able to go home. As soon as I stepped off the plane, I turned and walked away without looking back. When I walked in, I saw Michael playing on the carpet. His small back was short and round, just a few heads tall. He looked soft and cuddly. His little feet, wearing bear-shaped socks, wiggled playfully. I let out a quiet laugh. Quick as a flash, Michael turned around. His eyes sparkled with delight. His little hands shot up excitedly.
Daddy?
What are you playing with?
Michael waved the ribbon in his hand enthusiastically. Giggling, he said.
Gift.
My mom walked over and said,
Michael's kindergarten friend is having a birthday tomorrow, and they sent Michael an invitation. The little one is busy wrapping up a gift.
Michael nodded vigorously beside me. It just so happened to be a weekend off. I spent the whole day playing with my little one. In the end, he got tired and drowsy, his eyes barely able to stay open. His little hand still clung tightly to my sleeve. Leaning against my shoulder, he cooed affectionately.
Daddy, I was good when you weren't around.
I carried him back to the room. My heart melted completely.
Yeah, Daddy knows.
Mumbling in a soft, unclear voice,
I'm the little bunny. I'm the little bunny.
it was a knock knock knock. Michael knocked on my bedroom door. He held a blue cartoon t-shirt in one hand and a D plush shirt in the other. His body swayed slightly as he tried to stay balanced. He tilted his head up and asked me clearly,
Dad, on the left is Mickey Mouse, and on the right is Donald Duck. Which one should Michael wear?
It took him half an hour. Michael finally made the tough choice, Donald Duck. I walked him back to his room. An hour later, knock knock knock. The knocking sound came again. This time it was a hat.
Dad, which one should I pick?
Such a thoughtful kid. It was why I couldn't get up to take him to the birthday party. I asked my mom to take Michael instead. I slept in until noon. After waking up, I went straight to the office. In the evening, I managed to have dinner with Henry. He asked me,
You were on a business trip with Samuel these past few days. Did he cause you any trouble?
I shook my head. Surprising, we actually got along quite well, even when I was drunk. He didn't leave me on the street. That was quite rare. A memory flashed through my mind, the scene at the kindergarten gate that day. Could it be because he's become a father now? Then again, it makes sense. I'm the same way. Maybe I've just gotten used to looking at Michael's little face. Now when I look at Samuel's face, I don't feel the same anger as before. After finishing dinner, I glanced at the address my mom had sent me. I was getting ready to pick up Michael. The address was in a quiet suburban neighborhood. I rang the doorbell. Someone guided me inside. Along the path, there were child-friendly castles set up everywhere, clearly put together with care. I hadn't reached it yet. From a distance, I could already hear Michael's loud voice. It sounded like he was playing pretend with someone.
Dear customer sir, would you prefer this golden French fry or the silver one?
Then came a deep male voice.
Which one should I choose?
I raised an eyebrow. That voice sounded oddly familiar. Michael was pushing the product even harder.
Sir, this golden fry is extra large and comes with sweet tomato sauce.
I rounded a glass partition. It was a room decorated with delightful, playful charm. The floor was covered with a soft, plush carpet. What caught my eye first was a tall and upright back silhouette. He sat cross-legged casually on the carpet. Various toy household items were scattered around. Michael was sitting across from him. He held up a toy French fry high in the air. I called out,
Michael? Dad's here.
Hearing my voice, the two figures, one large and one small, turned around at the same time. Two faces that looked almost identical. One was mature and handsome, the other round and adorable. Samuel held Michael close. He walked toward me. He took one step forward. My vision went dark for a moment. Then another step. My vision went dark again.
Dad,
Michael stayed quietly in Samuel's arms. He was excitedly telling me about his new friend.
Dad, Uncle Fries is amazing. He found Michael in hide and seek right away.
He couldn't resist making a quick dig at me.
Dad always can't find him.
You're just terrible at hiding. Your head's covered, but your feet aren't. I don't find him because I'm being respectful. Samuel held the child close. His gaze, sharp and steady, kept lingering on me, deep, full of quiet curiosity.
Oliver, the kid seems to resemble me a bit. Oh. How convenient. Michael looks a lot like Mom.
I gave a small smile, calmly. I took the baby back into my arms. Samuel smoothly adjusted his slightly wrinkled shirt. He smiled calmly.
Well, that's quite a coincidence. Oliver said the same thing last time.
Michael tilted his head, looking from me to Samuel. His little mind was a bit confused. At that moment, a housekeeper hurried over. She said to Samuel,
Camilla has woken up. She's asking for her father.
Perfect timing. In the instant Samuel nodded, I grabbed Michael and quickly made a run for it. Inside the car, I glanced at the rearview mirror. Michael was fast asleep in his child's seat, cheeks flushed pink. Even right up until bedtime, he kept muttering,
Uncle Fries.
My hand tightened on the steering wheel. What bad luck. I really ran into him again. Young Master Michael is in the same class as Samuel's daughter. I truly regret it now. Just one moment of hesitation back then. I didn't make the decision right away to switch Michael's daycare. It's strange, though. Now I seem to bump into Samuel everywhere. I ran into him again at the daycare entrance. I had just carried Michael out of the car. He shot off like a bolt. I couldn't catch him no matter what. His little legs were pumping fast, tapping away like a drum, with a big smile of surprise.
Fries, Uncle?
I guess it must be something in the blood. Samuel usually has a serious, unfriendly expression that kids tend to avoid. Yet Michael just can't get enough of him. After meeting him once, he couldn't stop talking about him whenever he had the chance. The little one's shoes didn't quite fit right. He tripped over his own feet by accident. His head was heading straight down toward the ground. My heart skipped a beat. I was about to rush over, but then someone got there before me. A broad hand firmly caught Michael just in time. It was a close call, but everything turned out fine. Samuel crouched down. He gently pressed the little one's plump ankle, as if checking whether he'd gotten hurt. His voice was unusually soft.
Are you hurting, sweetie?
Michael nodded gently. Anyone who saw them would think they were a deeply bonded father and son. But the truth was far from that. Unfortunately, I clenched my fists tightly. I stepped forward, lifted Michael into my arms. Taking a few steps back, I said,
Sorry about this. Samuel, our son's going to be late.
I turned right around and walked into the kindergarten. I started walking faster and faster. I felt a strange, uneasy tension pressing from behind. Michael rested on my shoulder. He waved shyly at Samuel, clearly reluctant to leave. Lately, Michael had been acting a little odd. He kept sneaking off into quiet corners, and I'd hear giggles coming from the shadows now and then. I went to check where he was. I asked him what he was doing. The little one quickly pulled his hands behind his back, stammering cutely,
I'm a baby, just playing house.
The little one was wearing a children's watch on his wrist. It only had location tracking and calling functions. Probably chatting with some kindergarten friend. I really seemed to have bad luck with Samuel. I accompanied my mom to a charity gala, and then I ran into him again. He was dressed in a deep grey suit, tall and hard to miss. His eyes were fixed on my mom.
Miss, you look stunning today, especially your earrings. So unique.
My mom laughed with delight and said,
These are from Oliver. He bought them from an antique dealer. There were 2 pairs, one with ruby stones, one with emerald ones. Unfortunately, one pair went missing years ago.
Samuel took a slow sip of his drink, then said in a vague tone,
What a pity.
I only stepped away to use the restroom for a moment. As soon as I came out, I saw my mom talking with Samuel. A knot of unease formed in my chest. I urged my mom to leave quickly. Samuel simply gave a polite smile. He didn't say a word. Just that look of his made me feel uneasy in a strange way. The next day, when I went to pick up Michael after school, the kindergarten teacher said Michael was picked up by his father. Mia, after pressing her for answers, the teacher looked flustered, sweating profusely. The teacher said,
That gentleman looks very much like Michael, and Michael seemed quite close to him. I thought,
look similar. My heart sank.
Samuel.
I took a deep breath. I was about to call and demand answers. A message popped up from an unknown number. Go to room at the hotel if you want to meet Michael. At the door of room. The door opened. Samuel stood inside, calm and composed. He spoke in a flat tone.
Come in.
I frowned. This hallway. This room number. And Samuel appearing behind the door. Suddenly, memories came rushing back. Room, this was exactly where it happened before. I was, in an instant. I suddenly felt like I'd been tricked. I took a step back. I wanted to run away. But Samuel grabbed me and pulled me inside. The door closed and locked shut. I stared at him warily.
Samuel? When did you start treating kids like toys? Where's Michael?
Samuel spoke flatly.
Don't worry.
The baby has been returned home.
I realized I'd been fooled. Without hesitation, I turned around and tried to leave. But I couldn't get past Samuel. Samuel paid no attention to my struggles. He dragged me into the inner room. In the struggle, a long, thin scar on my abdomen became visible. Samuel smiled. His tone was firm.
Michael is your son, and he's my child.
I instinctively protested.
It's not true.
Samuel's expression darkened. He grabbed his phone and opened the paternity report inside. Placed it in front of me.
Still not admitting it.
My eyes widened.
When did you...
The first time I met Michael, I started to suspect. Samuel's hand rested on my waist, gently tracing the scar.
Turns out it was you all along. To be honest, I'm not really upset about you drugging me. That night I've never forgotten it. For years, I searched every corner of this hotel. Couldn't find anyone. I never thought it would be you. Oliver, you really had me fooled all this time.
I turned my head away. Felt like a fish laid out on a cutting board. His face gradually turned pale.
What do you want?
Samuel gently turned my chin toward him. A knowing, cold smile curled at the corner of his lips.
It's only fair I return the favor.
I spent the entire 3 days in the suite with Samuel. I never expected he'd respond like this. That selfish man. He's already married with a daughter, yet still acts so recklessly. I felt a mix of anger and fear inside. There was also a faint sense of bitter disappointment. I buried my face into the pillow, playing dead. I kept pretending to be asleep. Before leaving, Samuel gently touched my forehead. He whispered,
I'll be back soon.
As soon as he left, I quickly left the hotel. I never expected him to react this way. I tried to comfort myself. Just think of it as being bitten by a dog. I've been through worse before. And if it felt good for him, then it wasn't really a loss. I guess I just got unlucky meeting this troublemaker. Just thinking about Samuel's intensity made me shiver. If I can't handle it, I'll just stay away. I made the decision right away. I bought a ticket on the nearest available flight. Luckily, Michael was on winter break. I used the excuse of taking Michael on vacation to make a swift escape from M City. Whatever happened between us, Samuel wouldn't bring it up to the elders. That part wasn't something I worried about at all. Besides, I'd rather not get involved with someone like Samuel, who's already married. There are plenty of couples like that in the circle. Disrespectful. Such a big disappointment. On the flight, Michael leaned into my arms and gently reached up to touch my face. With a soft voice, he asked,
Daddy, are you feeling down?
I came back to myself. I gently kissed the little one's cheek.
Daddy isn't upset. Daddy's taking Michael to see Lily's sister. Do you miss her?
Lily was Michael's first teacher. They get along really well. Michael's attention was drawn elsewhere. He nodded happily. The plane touched down. I never expected to be back here less than half a year after returning home. Never mind. I'll just hide for a while first. I arranged a ride online. I returned to the apartment I used to live in. I held my suitcase with one hand and was holding Michael's hand with the other. The little guy bounced along happily. As long as he's with his dad, wherever they go, Michael is happy. Michael was always cheerful whenever he was with Dad. Suddenly, he pointed his little finger forward.
Fry's uncle.
I looked up. Samuel stood still on the maple-lined path as twilight settled in. He wore a long black coat. His fingers gently held a cigarette, but he hadn't lit it. It seemed as if he had been waiting for quite some time. Michael stayed close to Samuel, until he finally fell asleep. In the living room, the fireplace crackled softly. Samuel slowly approached me. He was taller than me, leaning down slightly, with a strong sense of presence.
Give me a chance.
I stepped back nervously and said,
What? What kind of chance?
A chance to be Michael's father in the right way. I stammered instinctively.
You're already married and have a daughter?
Samuel frowned. After a brief pause, he explained to me,
Camilla is my sister's daughter. I'm not married, I'm single.
Turns out it was just a misunderstanding. Samuel moved closer and closer. He blocked me in the corner. His warm breath brushed against my ear. His voice was deep and smooth.
Is it okay? I'll make you like me?
I turned my head away. Why are you being so serious? It made my heart beat faster. The next day, when Michael opened his eyes, he saw his favorite Uncle Fry's. Samuel helped Michael get dressed. He playfully encouraged the child.
Michael, do you like your uncle?
Michael answered with a loud voice.
Yes.
Then would you like uncle to be your dad?
Michael was momentarily speechless. The cheeky adult kept up the pressure.
Let me buy you lots and lots of large metal rods, Michael.
Michael's eyes lit up. The little one was easily won over by a few fries. Watching this scene of warm parent-child affection, I turned my lips slightly and muttered under my breath.
I never said yes.
Samuel gently kissed his little treasure, holding the small child close and looking at me. 2 pairs of eyes, one big, one small, staring straight at me with unblinking focus. Trying to pressure me. My mind wandered to those 3 days at the hotel. He was really skilled, feeling, well, maybe it's not such a bad deal after all. Oh well, there's plenty of time ahead. I cleared my throat lightly.
We'll see how you do.
Side story, Michael, who couldn't keep a secret. The moment Samuel first saw Michael, a question quietly took root. Maybe it was just family ties at play. Looking down at this little one, Samuel showed an unusual patience, more than Camilla ever did. Michael wasn't the shy type at all. Right from the start, he playfully climbed onto Samuel's lap. His little legs swung back and forth casually. Samuel gently cradled the child's back with his hand. He asked hesitantly,
Was Michael brought here by his mother?
Michael answered honestly,
Michael doesn't have a mom.
looking into the child's clear, innocent eyes. Samuel regretted asking the question just now, worried it might bring up sad memories for the little one. But Michael's reply was shocking.
Because Michael is the father's son.
Samuel felt his voice was a bit dry.
Why would Michael say that?
Michael looked completely innocent.
Dad said it himself.
Then he mimicked his dad's voice perfectly.
Little bunny, you came after 10 months, and I only love you.
Michael had a big mouth. He'd tell every kid who asked about Mom the same thing. But no one believed him. A long time later, Samuel finally understood what that sentence meant. Back then, Michael was a child who struggled to fall asleep. He'd cry before bed and again when he woke up. He always needed to be held and comforted before falling asleep. He was also very particular about who he would accept. Only I could do it. No one else would work. I was worn out from the constant effort. He once said in a frustrated tone,
Little rascal, I carried you for 9 months, I'm your dad. Don't keep stressing me out like this.
So, Michael started calling himself a little bunny.
Hello， 大家好，希望你们喜欢今天的动画片。我在片尾放了我今天制作动画片的花絮啊，对，就是动画片是怎么做的？你们猜猜看，我这次遇到了什么困难呢？对了，就是怎么把人物的造型固定好。你有没有发现，我有好多人物的脸有点不同，然后发型有很大的区别，发色也有点不一样。细心的你是不是已经看出来了呀？希望你们不要介意。这是我第2次做动画片，我一定之后会做得更好的。你们有什么意见或者建议，可以在留言区告诉我。你们希望这个故事是怎么走向的呢？是甜甜蜜蜜的甜宠风，还是先虐后甜的追妻火葬场？或者你们有什么其他的喜欢的故事走向，也可以告诉我，我会认真的看每一条留言的。后面我做后续动画的时候，可能就会按照你希望的走向咯。记得点赞、关注、收藏我，下个故事会更精彩的，拜拜。